Welcome to another episode of the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast, your weekly dose of news and advice that comes to your pocket every single Saturday. Holding it down, here we got Mac, Mark, Scott, and Landon. Enjoy today's show.
Hey guys, we're back with another episode of the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. This week we're talking about my favorite running back in this class, Jonathan Taylor, Wisconsin running back drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. He's one of my favorites. He was the third player in college football history with multiple 2,000 rushing yard seasons. He's extremely fast. He ran a blazing 4.39 40. For a guy this size, he's 226 pounds. That is 98th percentile. He is awesome, and I think he landed in a perfect spot in Indianapolis, but my co-hosts do not feel the same way. Scotty, what's your opinion on Jonathan Taylor? How do you value him in Dynasty, and what do you think your thoughts are in redraft leagues?
Well, I'm not arguing the elite talent, but elite talent at running back, you know what? There's a bunch of them right now. And what I want to talk about is, yes, Dynasty League, I will concede. There's a lot of interest there, and there should be. For all the reasons that you listed, if you're looking for a running back over the next 5 years, it's hard to argue the guy's talent. But if we're talking about redraft, I don't think his landing spot is great for the 2020 season. This guy really, he speaks to me as one of those players that when you see the raw physical ability, you're saying, there's no way this guy's not going to be leading the pack come the start of the season. I have one answer for you. A healthy Marlon Mack. And I'm not ready to dismiss that type of elite talent when we actually see him at 100%. So the argument for me isn't that he's not a great player and that he doesn't have a great chance to take over this backfield in the future. But I won't say his landing spot for the 2020 season and for fantasy owners who are going to be going into drafts in the next few months is favorable. And he's at risk of being a really sexy pick and maybe going a bit higher in drafts. And then he could be relegated to some sort of change of pace back or be a backup if Marlon Mack can actually play a full healthy season the way I've seen him play. So I know you're high on him, but I don't think 2020 is his year, man. I think he's going to be redshirting for a good amount of it. And I know you think he's in for a heavy workload, but I disagree.
Yeah, Scotty, I mean, man, I think it's just his pure talent will overcome what Marlon Mack is. Personally, I guess there's exceptions where when Derrick Henry was drafted, we saw that giant 250-pound running back blazing. It took him a while to get on the field. But I want to touch on what Nick Chubb did. When he was behind Carlos Hyde in Cleveland, we thought that was going to be a tough landing spot. But man, that ability, that clear ability, rose him to the top. And Carlos Hyde was shipped out of town. Mac, what are your thoughts on Jonathan Taylor? Are you kind of on my path, or what do you think?
So I think Jonathan Taylor obviously is maybe the best running back in this class. I don't think his landing spot was as great as, say, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the Kansas City Chiefs, but, the Colts, it's certainly an interesting situation, and I personally feel that Marlon Mack will have the keys to this backfield in 2020. Now, I say this for a couple reasons. One, he's going into a contract year, and so it makes sense from the Colts standpoint that Marlon Mack is a 24-year-old, pretty experienced runner coming off a 1,000-yard season and a 900-yard season the one before. He's accustomed and acclimatized to that NFL game. He's shown he can produce. His health has been a little bit up and down, but when you've got a guy going into a contract year who you owe nothing to at the end of 2020, why not run him into the ground and give your star-studded second-round pick some time to develop? He also needs, in my opinion, a little bit of time to rest. I mean, this guy, throughout his college career at Wisconsin saw over 900 carries in 3 seasons. He's got some wear on those tires. I think it makes a lot of sense to maybe not ruin your future, weapon in Jonathan Taylor in a year where you don't necessarily need him. So I could see him sprinkled in just to get some reps under his belt, but I don't think he's going to get the workload that a lot of people think, just because Marlon Mack isn't owed anything after this year, and he might want to put on a show for other teams.
All right, Marky, are you on my side? Like, I need some help here. I don't want to argue with everyone again.
No, Landon, I am on your side, and I like to look at Jonathan Taylor, first of all, as my favorite prospect heading into this draft. After he was drafted by the Colts, I see a very smooth transition for him, heading from the best O-line in college football to almost arguably the best offensive line in the pros. And there's a lot to be said about that. They obviously are kind of a bully offense, whereby if they have the opportunity, they are just going to run, tire out defenses, smash that front four, and that's just the Frank Reich play style, and I love it. I love the way that team calls plays, and I think there is certainly a role cut out for Jonathan Taylor in this offense. Yes, Marlon Mack is definitely talented enough to be a workhorse back, but I don't think it's super wise to use him that way. So I think looking at Marlon Mack, he's not a very effective pass catcher. I think he caught maybe 25, 26 passes last year, which obviously is nothing. And we know that Jonathan Taylor is excellent with his hands, and immediately, if he comes out in the early weeks with some good strong catches and some good YAC yards, we know that he can easily usurp Nyheim Hines as that number 2 and that gadget running back, that third down player that can get those first downs. There's no mystery why a player picks up 2,000 yards, and it's not because of a perfect O-line. It's not because of weak opponents. It is largely accredited to talent, and that is what I saw watching game tape of Jonathan Taylor here. And yeah, I think he's got that NFL potential. It's just going to take a couple weeks for him to really find that role, but really, I don't trust the Colts receivers all that much either. So when I look at this offense, Phillip Rivers isn't the most awe-inspiring piece. Marlon Mack is good, but I think it's going to be a two-headed monster at the running back position. Primarily Mack, and soon to be equally Jonathan Taylor.
See, I'll tell you one thing for free. Nyheim Hines will be involved, but for certain, if you've been holding in Dynasty and Keeper, Jordan Wilkins, time to cut him. All right? He's gone. Jonathan Taylor coming to this team. Jordan Wilkins, he gone. Time to move on. Look, like Mark, you bring up some good points. I think you say a couple weeks. I think it's going to take a couple months for him to really see some significant workload on this team, even if he does. And if Marlon Mack can stay healthy, which last year wasn't the greatest for him, but if he can stay healthy, I really do believe that he's going to be playing for a contract, which for the Colts' best interest, probably for him not to be on this team. He's only paid $4 million over his first 4 seasons, 2.1 of that contract coming this season. So this is arguably his most in terms of earnings. I think he's going to want to get paid. I don't think that they'll want to pay him. And why not run a guy you owe nothing to into the ground and save your shiny toy for the future? That's kind of how I see it playing out. I don't think it'll be a 50-50 split. I think it's going to take some time. So for redraft, I think I'm a little bit out on Taylor because I think he's going to be overdrafted. But Dynasty, sign me up. I think he's going to be great.
So I'll give one negative thing towards Taylor is that he's had fumbling issues. And this is something that some players have shown to overcome. But from what I saw and what I've heard on film is that teams started just to go after the ball. They know this is a weak spot of him. They're letting him take or get another 5 yards and not tackling him and just prying at the ball. He's so much bigger and faster than everyone on that field is that they'd rather not tackle a guy. They'd rather just try to pry out the ball, and I don't blame them. So hopefully that's something he gets rid of and works on on the NFL level. One final fact I will mention, just to show on the speed this guy is. In high school, he set a state record in New Jersey for the 100-meter dash. His time was 10.49. Henry Ruggs, a guy that we did a video on last week, ran at 10.58. So this guy was faster than the fastest receiver in the NFL, and he's how many pounds heavier. So just a fun fact for you. But for you guys in redraft leagues, you might want to know how we feel about Jonathan Taylor on proven assets, proven veterans in the league. So I'm going to go to my guys, my boys. I'm looking at some Fantasy Pros, some ADP. They have him a tier below a guy like Clyde Edwards and Todd Gurley. So guys, would you rather have Chris Carson or Jonathan Taylor this year?
Carson.
Taylor.
Melvin Gordon or Jonathan Taylor?
Gordon.
Ooh, Le'Veon Bell, Jonathan Taylor?
Bell.
Resounding bells. David Johnson or Jonathan Taylor?
DJ.
Oh, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, DJ.
I'm going Taylor all day there. Firstly, I'll go, what about Mark Ingram? Stellar last year.
Ingram,
2019.
redraft.
Ditto.
I think we're getting I said Ingram. I think we're getting the point of this drill, Landon. I think you are certainly going to overdraft Jonathan Taylor in 2020. And like,
sounds good.
Look, I understand. Like, yeah, he did some unbelievable things in high school, like 100-meter dash records. Cool. I mean, he was also the 6th best. He holds like the 6th most yards rushed in NCAA history, so that's pretty significant. But the high school stuff, like, look, I beat Corey Joseph in high school in a 3-point shootout at the Durham All-Star game, and I'm here at the tender age of 30 podcasting on the side. So, like, it's things you do in high school don't really hold any merit down the road. I'm just saying.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for the Jonathan Taylor talk. Hopefully, you take him in Dynasty. I think that's a great choice. But if you believe these schmucks, you might not take him in your redraft leagues. I'm all in on him. Tweet at me, and we can talk. We can talk about our Jonathan Taylor and how he's one of the best athletes since Saquon Barkley or Zeke Elliott. Let's get it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, interact with us on our social medias. We are Snap_Fantasy. And next week we have Cam Akers, a very interesting rookie running back drafted to the Rams. So thanks a lot. Make sure to comment below, and we'll see you next time.